Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Townsend and I am going to walk you through how to write a lab report for chemistry. Most of the lab reports that you're going to write this year are going to be worth 15 points and will follow this same standard format, so I thought this would be a good resource for you to have. Your lab notebook looks like this, and right now this one doesn't have a name on it, so I wouldn't know who to give this to if I found it in the lab after class. So please put your name on the front cover or on the inside of the front cover and what hour you have chemistry so that this could be returned to you if this was yours and it was left behind. Just a few general comments about scientific writing. Try to use an impersonal style and avoid personal pronouns such as I, me, we, and they, etc. It's difficult to do, but try your best. Please, when you're writing lab reports, write in ink. Now, I know some of you are going to make mistakes. That's okay. But please do not use whiteout. If you make a mistake, use a single line through that portion that's an error and then make the correction near the mistake. Okay? It's going to be hard, but no whiteout. And I need to stress this right at the front. You're each going to keep your own notebook. You will be working in lab partners. However, you need to provide your own ideas. So if you're copying data, copying observations, or worse, copying answers to questions from anybody else, those individuals that are involved will get 0 credit for that particular portion of the lab report. So please, do your own work. All right, on to the lab write-up. This is what your lab notebook looks like when it's opened. There is a table of contents page, and this is the periodic table with a lot of other reference materials on the other side of it. And as you are doing experiments, please fill out the number of the experiment, the title of the experiment, and the pages that the experiment is on. Okay. You have a carbonless copy system that you're using, so the blue page and the yellow page that share the same number go together, and then they get placed on top of the periodic table so that it doesn't transfer through to all the other pages underneath. You will turn in the blue copies of the lab reports and keep the yellow copies for your reference. The pre-lab portion of the experiment involves the following items: a heading, purpose, procedure, safety, and data. The heading is this blue portion, this blue box on the top of each page. When you start a new lab, you'll start on a fresh page, fill out the experiment number, the title of the experiment, the date you're starting this lab, so the date you're actually filling that out, your first and last name, and your lab partner or your lab partner's names, the course, so honors chemistry, and the hour that you have the class. That's for the first page of every lab. If, by chance, your lab reports go more than one page, which sometimes they will, your first and last name should be on all subsequent pages of the lab report. That is worth 1 point. Having the heading filled out on the first page, everything, and having the heading filled out with just your name, first and last, on all the subsequent pages. That's 1 point. Next thing is the purpose. So what you want to do is actually write the word purpose in your lab notebook, and then I will be looking for these exact words. The purpose of this experiment is to, and then you will explain what the experiment is all about within 1 to 2 sentences. So why are you doing it? And 99% of the time, it's given in the actual handout or in the lab manual experiment that you're using. So write down these words: the purpose of this experiment is to, and then what the purpose is. Okay? That is worth a point. The next part is procedure. Okay, so you'll write the heading procedure, read the steps of the procedure, and then summarize them in your own words. If there are 20 steps to an experiment, do not write all 20 steps. Do not summarize all 20 steps into 20 steps that are just a couple of words long. No, summarize means condense it. Maybe that involves drawing pictures. But I want something that is shorter than the original document that I gave you. Not just by 1 or 2 words, but a good summary of what it is that what's going to be done in the experiment. That's worth a point. Safety. So you'll write the word safety and then indicate 2 safety measures needed to be followed when you're doing this experiment. If you're not sure what safety rules would apply, read through the procedure that's usually given in the procedure, or you can refer back to the safety rules which are in the front of the lab manual. That's worth a point. Data. Okay, so data is what I'm looking for a heading, and then use a ruler to assist you to make copies of all data tables that will be used with plenty of space for observations. Include a title and headings for each table. This generally involves copying a data table that's from a handout that you've been given. I'm looking for straight lines. You need to use a ruler. That's worth a point. Okay. So when I am looking to see if you are ready to go into the lab on a lab day, I am looking for these items in your pre-lab. If these items are not present, I will not stamp your pre-lab, and you'll have to finish your pre-lab before you can go into the lab. When I don't see that stamp, when I'm grading, what I do is I take off 4 points for not having the pre-lab done. So it's important to have the pre-lab stamp and be checked in so that you're ready to go. If by chance you forgot and you're filling out the pre-lab and you're like, oh no, I got five more minutes, please. You can finish it. You'll still be able to do the lab, but I won't be able to stamp you in. So you can show me that it's done, and what I'll do instead is I'll initial it, and then you can go in the lab and do the experiment with your lab partners. During the experiment, you want to collect your data and observations as neatly as you can. Include appropriate units and significant figures when necessary, and that is when we're collecting data that involves numbers. But we're not going to do that for this first experiment at least, but as we continue on, we'll talk more and more about what significant figures are. And then we'll come to what's called the Postlab. Oh, the data and observations. I have to go back a second here. The data and observations, that's 2 points. So quality data collection, that's worth 2 points. Okay. So now, going on to Postlab. Now this is where you process what it is that you did in the experiment. So you're going to answer the post-lab questions. So you'll have a section that's labeled post-lab questions, and then answer the questions that are in the handout or something that I provide in class. To receive full credit, complete sentences are needed in a way that makes it obvious what the question was actually asking. I can't tell you how many times I have read post-lab questions and the answers were, yes, I think it will. Okay, what will? What's it? What's it going to do? What's the question asking? Please be specific. So use the question to help you answer it. All right. For each calculation performed, give the formula that you're going to use and then rearrange it. Don't just simply give me numbers. So you need to show your work. As we do problems, as we go forward in class, I'll give you more explanation to this. But it's important that you show your work, not just give me results. When graphs are needed, they need to have a title, proper units, straight edges, and a line of best fit. We're not doing connect the dots. Post-lab questions section is worth 5 points for the lab report. Suggested improvements is the next section, so that would be the title for that particular section. Using complete sentences, suggest 2 possible sources of error and how they could be reduced or changed. Refer to something specific that you did or that you could control, notice the words you, all right, that could have caused the results to be flawed. All right, so human error, the teacher didn't set it up right, my calculator didn't work, those don't count. The phrase that I'm looking for to start this section is something like, this experiment did not work out as expected because, or if one were to repeat this experiment, 2 things that could be changed are. I'm looking for those specific clauses. And it's tricky because you want to write it in an impersonal style. That's worth 1 point. And then the conclusion is you summarize what you learned from this lab in 1 or 2 complete sentences. And what I'm looking for in this section is that it starts with this phrase. In this lab, it was learned that. And then you refer to the purpose of the lab and whether or not it was met. Well, what if you don't remember the purpose of the lab? Go to your Prelab. Look, you wrote the purpose of the lab. Do your purpose and your conclusion match up? I'm going to be checking that. All right, and that's worth 2 points. So total, it's worth 15. Got the header, purpose, procedure summarized, safety, and data table construction. Those are each worth a point each, so that's 5 points. Quality data collection is 2, so that's a total of 7 there. Post-lab questions, another 5, so that's 12. Suggested improvements, 1. And conclusion, 2 more.